Hey guys, in this video I'm testing out the Nikon ZF for two things that you've specifically asked about, and I have Felicia in to model for us, as well as over a dozen F-mount lenses to test out. This is going to be fun. Hi folks, I know you guys were super excited to see the content on the Nikon ZF. The two main questions or comments or feedback that I got from you was, how does it do with adapted glass? And oh my God, I wish they would release some lenses with aperture rings so that you got the full vintage experience. So in this video, I've gotten in over a dozen F-mount lenses. I'm going to show you how they do via the FTC adapter and the FTC Mark II. Let you know if any of them are performing poorly. And I've gotten in a couple of lenses from Viltrox that do have an aperture ring, so it gives you more of that ye old world authentic sepia toned experience of shooting film on a thoroughly modern hyper performance digital camera. Very important. So we're just going to shoot away. I'll share my results with you. No need for sample files on this one. I'll show you through the viewfinder how they're doing via the Atomos. If you're in the Nikon Z system, folks, check out my expert setup guide. It takes you through the Z8 as well as the ZF and every other camera in the range, showing you what every physical control does on them, and the ZF is quite different to the other cameras, as well as the initial customizations you want to do out of the box, how to further customize it for your specific use case, and a menu deep dive showing you every single option these customizable cameras offer. Link for that is in the description below. So in terms of lenses, I've got from 8mm through to 500mm to test out today. So we're going to start off doing all the lenses up to the 58mm in this setting, and then we'll change location somewhere where we've got a bit longer range to go for. So starting off, I have the 8 to 15mm fisheye lens. So let's load it up. So for each of these tests today, I'll be using wide area AF and human eye detect to see how they do. And I have to say, for the 8 to 15, her eye is so tiny in frame, but it picked her up instantly. No problem at all. This is an older lens. Yeah, so it's not really a portrait lens, but it's focusing completely fine here. So next up, the 14 to 24. Now on these, I'm using the FTC original because this body has the space for it. The performance is no difference between them, but for the longer lenses, I'll use the FTC Mark II just so you can see. Now this is one I'm sure people are going to be concerned with because 14 to 24 was such a good lens and a lot of people own it. So number 2, please. Excellent, you're rolling. Okay, so at 14, oh my God, look how big her hand becomes. It's like the, her arm looks like a flamingo head. Okay, so face, let me see some eye. Yeah, it's doing fine. Considering the eye is pretty small in frame, this is about what I'd expect. The Z8 and 9 probably would get the eye a little quicker. That's great news. For people who don't want to upgrade to the newest one, completely usable. Next up, we're going to do the two Viltrox lenses, well, 2 of the 3. I have the 24 and the 35, so these are not via adapter, they're native. Well, they're not native, but they're Z mount, and they have the aperture ring. So these ones are not clicked, however, so it doesn't have quite the tactile feedback, but the 75 we're going to show you a bit later does have the clicking option. Oh, it's actually a really nice lens. So going to 1.8. Well, that's interesting that this guy at 24mm is sticking with the eye even better than the 14 to 24. Oh, but we are getting a little bit of it detecting her chin as being an eye. So it's going from far eye to chin to face. So that's the Viltrox 24. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see how the 35 does. It's a nice looking lens. So through the lens, the Viltrox is looking really nice, but I have to say the build of it and how the aperture ring feels probably isn't going to give you the tactile experience that you're really hoping for with the ZF. Oh, okay. So nice hair breeze you have there, Beyonce. So a little bit still. Once or twice it jumped down to her jawline, but it didn't stay there like the 24 did. Next up is one that I'm sure a lot of you will be interested in if you're coming from DSLR. So many people own a 24-70. This was actually never my favorite, the VR one. I preferred the previous edition, but let's see how it does. I have to say, I'm imagining it's going to be fantastic because all of the full frame Nikons I've used are well optimized. And what's going on with this Viltrox? Doesn't want to come off. Yeah, kind of got stuck.
Yeah, don't know why, but the Viltrox was kind of getting stuck on the body there a little bit. That's a worry. And here with the 24-70, it's performing just beautifully. Throughout the range, it's pretty fantastic. Better than I had hoped for.
Okay, so this is basically flawless performance. I would say as close to the native 24-70 Z mount as you could possibly hope for. Next up, the 51.4G. This was never an outstanding lens. I never really loved it, to be honest. The new Z 1.8 and 1.2 are leagues ahead, but still, let's see how it does. Up again to me? Yeah, there you go. Cute. So whilst that was working great, and the ZF has great retro ergonomics, once you put on that tiny lens with the adapter, you can see compared to my FE and an original 50mm lens, it's still quite a different proposition. Next up, let's shoot this old 51.4. This is actually a Nippon Kogaku lens. It's really old and it cost me about $60 to buy, and see how it does. Now the ZF does actually have a few aids for the older lenses, like you can zoom into 100%, it's got focus prism and different things. I'll probably stick with zooming into 100% and peaking to show you how it's looking. So I have set this up as a custom lens already. So we're in manual focus here. You can see I have my peaking. Zooming in. It's not the sharpest lens that is in focus. If I stop it down to say, what's that, about f2.8 there. Now zooming in, we're going to see a lot more contrast here. Love that the eye detect still works, so as I zoom in, it doesn't just zoom into the middle of the frame, it actually zooms in to her eye. See, so there it is on that side. I press the zoom in, it's going straight to the eye. If I bring her onto this side of the frame and I hit zoom in, again, it's bringing us straight into the eye. That works with all your subjects, even though we're in manual focus mode. You see, I'm way out of focus and it still knows her eye is there. All right, lucky last for our wider lenses is the 58mm 1.4G, considerably better than the 50, but way more expensive. It is something that a lot of people have, and it's not something that we have in the Z range, unless you count the Noct for $7,000 and 0.95. You might want to keep making use of these on your Z body, so let's see how it does. Great. Can I get the wind machine up again, please, Mother Nature? No, hand down is great. There's the wind. Love, love, love. Also, basically native performance. It's great. No complaints whatsoever. Next up, we're moving to some longer lenses. So I'm starting off with the 75-1.2 Viltrox lens. This is actually APS-C, but the camera auto crops, but it's phenomenal. So firstly, it has a really nice clickable or declickable aperture, but the image quality coming off it is really nice. I've done a full dedicated video on that. I'll pop a card above to it. So, you know, with the crop factor, it becomes something like 120 mil, something around that ballpark. So let's check it out. Spin on the spot. Oh, this Viltrox again is going in on the nose and the cheek. So weird. Just walk a little closer towards me slowly. Absolutely perfect. Viltrox 75, beautiful image quality, fast and responsive, and a really nice aperture ring, but it does still have a little bit of inconsistency with the autofocus on the ZF. So the 85-14G is a beautiful portrait lens, maybe not quite as legendary as the 105 we'll test next, but still a great lens, and it's quite light, so it balances fairly well on these smaller bodies. Take a little walk towards me.
85 is performing just great.
So fun story about this lens. This is the 105-14E. This was one of my two favorite lenses, but when I switched to mirrorless, I thought they'll never get an adapter that works well enough to make use of it. So I actually sold it and, got whatever I got for it. And then later they brought out this adapter. It works so well, I had to go out and buy it again brand new. So fingers crossed it works as well on the ZF as it does on the Z8 and 9, because this is a beast of a portrait lens.
So you can see just how beautiful this lens looks through the lens, and I'm really happy that it's performing just great. I would say it's as good or even better than the native 85-12 for autofocus acquisition and stickiness.
I'm so happy to announce that that's probably as good as any of the lenses I've tested, maybe better. The 24-70 was pretty much native. This is too, like even back of head, full detection, never wavered, never got to the wrong place. Just absolutely spot on, which is great because it is still my second favorite portrait lens. Okay, next up we have the 70-200 FLED, the latest generation of 70-200 for F-mount. So again, those of you who've been with Nikon for a few years, there's a fair chance you have this guy and will want to make use of it. Can I pass you that? It's all good. Now, people often ask about balancing big lenses. I think it's worth mentioning, when you have a big lens like this, even if this were a Z8, you tend to support the lens. You're not gonna, with a Z8 or Z9 even, just hold the body and expect to shoot like this. You're always holding the body. So if anything, this balances even better because you've got the lens in hand, and this is basically a rear lens cap on the back of it. So there really isn't that kind of a balance issue. Dankeschön. Let's make some photos. Now I'm a little higher than Felicia here, so I'm going to be shooting lower down. And anyway, to get the most flattering, line on the body, you generally want to be in the middle of their body. So I don't want to poke the bear, but kind of handy having a screen like this so that I can shoot from the hip like this. (1001), 1002. You feel that? That's the deep burn. 1003. Okay, switch.
No!
You don't know deep burn? Okay. 200 f2, god of portrait lenses, god of developing your upper body. It is insanely heavy. It's about the same weight as the 400 2.8, which is significantly larger. I'm trying to support it with my belly right now. And the ZF is absolutely just a rear lens cap on this guy. Oh dear Lord, this is me in my happy place. Just look at how smooth that bokeh is. Okay, then slowly towards me. Stop there. Yeah. Ah, God damn, it's so good. I'm not going to buy the camera, but I'm happy to see for those who are considering to buy one. Second to last is the lens that I've barely shot with, to be honest, but I had a specific request from you guys to see how this one would go. It's the 200-500 f-mount lens. People who are considering the 180-600 new lens, a lot of them already own this one. So let's see how it does on the ZF. 200mm. And then going into 300mm. Let's see, all the way in at 500mm. Drop it back to 400. Doing pretty well. Going into 5. Look to me. Okay, so it's doing really well. I mean, the focus speed is maybe not as quick as some of the other lenses, but the accuracy, really great. Lucky last is the 500p f lens. So you can see it doesn't keep the back of the head and everything like the 105 did in the same way, but still pretty damn impressive. Let's get it this way. Just keep doing your little spin so Aaron gets the shot. Okay, so 15 lens tested. I think that was pretty great. Thank you for your time today. Do check out the 5-day deal. You can pick up our boudoir shoot free of charge as long as you make sure mine is the last link that you use. Next, let's head in studio and I'll just give you my recap on all 15 and my kind of score on their focus out of 10.
Okay folks, so this is the full range of lenses that we tested. Kind of looks like more once you have it all on the desk. I'm going to run through and give you my score out of 10 for each of these to tell you how I found them on the Nikon ZF. Before that, just a reminder, do go and check out the 5-day deal. We're raising money for charity. You get an amazing deal. Seriously, all the courses in the bundle are really top notch. And if you make sure to use my link last, I'll send you out that free art nude flower shoot with Felicia as well. Details are below. It ends Tuesday the 17th, then it's gone for good. Now, in terms of my scoring schedule, it's a ranking out of 10. Anything that was like a 1 to 4, I think is unacceptable and I wouldn't use. 5 to 6 is fine, okay, you know, no problems, it's usable, but not anything impressive. 7 to 8 is great, so it's doing probably a bit better than you would really expect, and absolutely I would recommend using it as a combo. And 9 to 10 is surpassing all expectations, performing beautifully, basically at native and superior native kind of performance. So kicking it off, and you have to start somewhere. With the 8 to 15, I gave it a 6, which is one of the lower scores, but actually, remember, for me that means fine, no real problem. The 14 to 24, I gave a 7, slightly better. It's totally usable, especially for the kind of thing that that lens is typically used for, just not gonna blow your mind. The 24mm Viltrox, I initially gave an 8, but seeing how I was having so much trouble identifying the chin as an eye, I downgraded that to a 6. It's not really reliable. The 35mm I gave a 7 because it's slightly better than the 24. The 24 to 70 FLED, I actually gave a 9. Honestly, if it weren't for the size and weight and, you know, the fact that you just know what you're shooting with, the experience of shooting with it, how well it's identifying and staying with the subject, it really feels like you could be using the native 24 to 70 2.8 or f4. It's doing fantastically well. The 50mm f1.4G, it was fine, actually even very good. I'll give it an 8 out of 10, so for me that still counts as a great. The manual focus lens, now it's kind of hard to say that it's related to the lens. This is more of a kind of a reference on what aids the camera has. So I won't give it a score per se, but there are a lot of different manual focusing assist options that this camera offers. If you haven't seen my full review on the camera, I'll have a card above and a link below where you can check that out. The 58mm, really, really good. I would give it a 9 or just short of a 9. Absolutely, definitely recommended. The 75mm, this is the Viltrox that has the really nice feel that I think people are gonna love using on the ZF. Unfortunately, it is DX, but still I'm gonna give it a 7, about the same kind of performance as the 35mm. The 85mm, it really performed great. I think you can use this all day without any worry, 9 out of 10. The 105, I don't know how they get lenses that you would think you're going to be slower, but this and the 200 f2 have some special magic dust sprinkled on them. Not just optically that they're different to things of their era and the newer stuff, but how well they focus and how accurate they are is just exceptional. 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, can't recommend it highly enough. The 70 to 200 FLED, 9 out of 10, fantastic. The 200 f2, beast, is absolutely still my favorite portrait lens. I'm giving it a 9.5 as well as the 105, and that's just because I don't think I should be giving anything a 10 because nothing's perfect. The 200 to 500, I'm going to give an 8, which after all of these 9s and 9.5s might seem like a letdown, but remember 8 is great. It's performing as well or better than you would reasonably expect. I would have no problem recommending it. And the same for the 500 PF, such a compact, beautiful, nicely designed lens. It balances great, and the focus performance was just fantastic. So a big thanks to Felicia. She's so much fun to work with. I think of all the models I collaborate with in Hong Kong, we've shot the most. That's why I chose her for the new flower boudoir shoot. You can see her social media below and all of the links to everything from this video and all of the lenses. Let me know any questions you have. Time for me to return the ZF, but I'd love to hear if you have pre-ordered one or if you're thinking of picking one up. Cheers guys, I'll see you soon.